the client pays him himself a friend taking out cash with no ATM fees. That's because this family of Leons has chips.
Actually, it's Leon.
Good morning, Dawn.
Hi, welcome back. Boy, we miss you guys. We'll talk later.
For sure.
We miss you. Did you have a good time away?
I did. Thank you.
That's what counts. That's what counts. So far, 13.
Great.
Okay.
Good morning, Keisha.
Morning, folks. How's everybody doing today?
Good.
Morning, Russell. Morning, Paul. I like that shirt, Paul.
I had a reason to put it on today.
I missed it. It was a good inside joke, but I missed it.
It's a Yankee shirt. Hold on. DJ LeMahieu. It's one of the.
I'm not a baseball person, but if I were, I'd be a Yankee fan because I grew up across the bridge from the original Yankee Stadium. I could see it from my window.
So is that the Polo Grounds? Close to Polo Grounds?
Lenox Terrace. So the Yankee Stadium shines bright. A little further south, but you could still see it.
Copy. Copy.
Just gonna give it a couple more minutes for others to join us and then we'll get started.
I'm gonna grab my cup.
Good morning, Janine.
Good morning.
Morning, Tammy.
Good morning, everybody. Happy August.
I think we're just gonna give it a couple more minutes, see if others are still joining us, as well as the borough president. So just give us one more moment. Thanks for your patience. Should be starting in just 1 minute, so thanks everyone for your patience. All right, I think we'll get started now, and if anyone else joins us, we'll be able to add them on. But first, just want to say good morning, everyone. Happy August. I know we're about to get back into the throes of it, so hopefully everyone's had a little time to reset and relax. Just making sure if everyone's able to hear me. All good? Great, thank you. So thanks again for being here. For those who I haven't had a chance to formally meet, again, my name is Eric Cuello. I'm the Deputy Director, Community Affairs here for the Borough President. As many of you are aware, Tricia Shimamura is still out on leave, doing well, but I'll be kind of leading meetings along with our Deputy Borough President, Keisha Sutton-James, who's here with us. And I also want to acknowledge a couple of members of our team who are also on here. So of course, our liaisons who you're all very familiar with, E. Wang, Brian Lafferty is here, as well as Porfirio Figueroa. And of course, Tommy, our general counsel, and Chris Carroll, our director of policy. So just want to thank them all for being here, and Dawn, who is helping us on the technical side and managing this meeting as well. So thank you all. With that, I feel like we can just go ahead and get started. If I can maybe start with a roll call, and I'll start with CB1.
Good morning. This is Tammy Meltzer from Manhattan Community Board 1.
Great. Good morning, Tammy. CB2.
Good morning, Janine Kiley, Community Board 2.
Good morning, Janine. CB3. Is Community Board 3 on? I think I see Paul's name, so. We'll circle back around. CB4.
Yes, hi, good morning. Jessica Chait, first vice chair in for Jeffrey LaFrancois, who is still enjoying the last days of summer on vacation.
Thanks for being here, Jessica. CB5.
Good morning. Renee Kinsella for Vicky Barbero.
CB6.
Good morning, Kyle Athiad, present.
CB7. CB8.
Russell Squire, CB8.
Great. Good morning, Russell. CB9. CB10.
Good morning, everyone. Cicely Harris, and please forgive me, I will have to jump early. I'm actually on vacation right now. So, but good morning.
Thanks for joining us from your vacation. Appreciate it. CB11. CB12. All right, and I think Paul had gotten booted before, but Paul, CB3, President?
Paul Rang with CB3.
Great.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Thanks, Paul. All right, seeing everyone here now, also want to kick it right over to our Borough President, who'll be joining us and giving his Borough President report whenever you have a moment.
Sorry, just getting all the wires uncrossed here. It's great to see everybody. Sorry, just give me one moment to fix this light. Apologies. All right. Good morning, everybody. It's wonderful to see all of you. I've got the chance to spend some time with many of you in person this summer. We've been out at NYCHA family days and street fairs and outdoor concerts. It is a wonderful summer is a wonderful time in Manhattan, and it's been really wonderful to spend time with you in person outdoors at all these great events. A couple points I want to talk about. I want to congratulate all of you for beginning a new era on community boards by passing, every one of you now has passed resolutions that establish rules for hybrid meeting protocols. And I know that was a lot of work. You had a lot of public input. You went through a robust process with hearings and more. And I'm really impressed by how you navigated that. Kudos to the leaders who are here. As it turns out, Governor Hochul has extended again the state of emergency. This is not a shock. We kind of expected that they wouldn't impose major changes over the summer. Currently, that emergency order is set to expire September 12th. So we are prepared for the likelihood that the new protocols that you've established will be put into place quite soon, and we're going to continue to keep you updated on that and always work to get you clarity on legal questions and the resources you need to make this work. I want to acknowledge that this has been a big week of news on congestion pricing with the release of the environmental assessment. This is long awaited, and this was a multi-thousand page document that was a lot to wade through. The core of it is that it considered, I think, a total of 7 different scenarios, 7 different pricing schemes, which had really different results in how they impact traffic flow and the way they generate revenue. We like some of them better than others, but I will say on the whole, there was some really encouraging news in this report. It showed that congestion would be reduced under any plan, not just in the zone, which is to be expected, but all over the city, actually, and importantly for us in Manhattan, in areas north of the zone, that there would be fewer cars traveling, even in areas outside of the zone. So in a borough that is choked by bad traffic, this is welcome news. I also know that there are a lot of questions raised by this environmental assessment, and many more questions we have to work through as a borough because of the impact on all of your communities and on Manhattan as a whole. And I know that Tammy, you were speaking to Chris earlier about a concern about opportunity for community input now that we have the environmental assessment made public. And I actually totally agree with you on that. And we're certainly going to push for the TMRB, which is the Traffic Mobility Review Board, which is the entity now that the state constituted that will make decisions on the final the final policies on tolling and all of those details. That we want them to have. We want there to be a public input process as part of the TMRB's deliberation. So I see Tammy nodding her head. I absolutely agree with that. We as a team agree with that, and we'll be pushing TMRB to make that happen. So it seems like every week there's a new public health crisis in the news, and it's exhausting. But unfortunately, polio has now been detected in the wastewater of New York City. The way New York City tracks wastewater, it really lacks geographic specificity, which is something that we need to fix. We should be able to pinpoint neighborhoods in wastewater samples, and for reasons I won't get into, the testing is done at the point where essentially the waste streams are combined. But we are operating under the assumption that it has been detected in Manhattan. I cannot tell you where in Manhattan. The New York City Department of Health cannot tell you where in Manhattan, but it is out there. And so what does that mean for us? Well, the good news is this is a totally preventable sickness, which vaccination provides really extremely robust protection for. But there's been a decline in the vaccination rates citywide, and including in Manhattan in recent years. Citywide, 14% of children under 5 are not vaccinated for polio. That's something that we have to fix. We have to do it immediately. And if you look neighborhood by neighborhood, you see much higher rates in some neighborhoods. In Upper Manhattan, there's rates really more in the 20 to 30% range of unvaccinated kids under 5. There's potentially an even higher rate in Battery Park City, which is alarming, although it's unclear to me if that could be a data quirk, which I won't get into now. But we need to be pushing for parents to get their kids vaccinated. I think that this is not necessarily, I think some of it is anti-vax. I think a lot of it is that parents just delay doing this until their kid registers for school when it's required. And because they sort of feel like there's no more polio, why do I need to hurry? And I think we want to get the message out that really is not wise, that you want to follow the recommended schedule for vaccination because there's polio in New York City right now, and we want to take it seriously. So looking forward to you guys being the lead and getting the good word out on that. Redistricting of city council lines is underway right now. The districting commission put out a preliminary map. This is not the final map, that is still several months away. There were some changes they proposed that I think are problematic for Manhattan, and there are some that weren't in this version of the map that we're worried about and want to continue to keep an eye on. We really don't think it's right that Roosevelt Island and parts of the East Side would be lumped into a Queens city council district. It would mean that Community Board 8 is divided up between 3 council districts. Again, one which is based in Queens. Sutton Place would be part of a Queens council district. It's particularly worrisome in Roosevelt Island, which needs to be must remain unambiguously part of the borough of Manhattan, even though it's not on the mainland. I think that residents there, because they're not on the mainland, feel more vulnerable that way. And so this is really, really important to Roosevelt Island, and we are delivering testimony at the public hearing to that effect. Also, there's a problem on the west side. Hell's Kitchen is going to be carved up now between 3 council districts, and again, it is a single community of interest, and this doesn't make sense to have a single neighborhood like Hell's Kitchen carved up. And then there's Harlem, where actually the preliminary maps did in fact keep Harlem together and intact, and so we're relieved about that. But as I mentioned, this is not the final map, so we really want to speak up. I am speaking up on the principle that Harlem must be kept intact. This is really one of the epicenters of African American political power in the city and the state and beyond. And we don't want to see it diluted by taking that city council district and chopping off key pieces of it. Again, good news that the preliminary map didn't do that, but we're taking nothing for granted. And so I want to speak out on this and join. Particularly, I want to credit State Senator Cordell Clear, who's been front and center leading on this point. So stay tuned on that. Finally, I want to mention that we have, I think, 1 week to go on our application period for our community grant program. And Eric, am I right? Is the deadline next? Is it next Wednesday? Next Thursday? Sorry, next Friday maybe. Someone can clarify that. Everyone's muted. Life in Zoom.
Pulling it up right now.
Okay. We are approximately a week away. These are great grants for grassroots groups. If you're trying to help a multi-million-dollar nonprofit, this is probably not worth their time. But if you have tenants associations, if you, they have to have a 501c3. So if you have community groups like block associations with the 501c3, park stewardship groups with the 501c3, grassroots youth programs, neighborhood-based arts programs that have small budgets and limited staff, these grants are generally in the 5,000 to 7,500 range. So you got to be small enough for that to be worth your effort. And it looks like the deadline is in the chat, and it is August 26th at 5 p.m. We, for the first time, created a second fund that is specifically for composting efforts, community-based composting efforts. And we're pushing policy change in this area. We want the city to do for what it just announced in Queens, which is require composting in every building in the borough. We don't have that policy in place in Manhattan. We think it should be. But in the meantime, we want neighborhood groups promoting composting, helping people do it in their buildings, teaching the public how it works. And so we have a parallel grant program for similar amounts. I think it's also 5,000 to 7,500. There may be groups that can apply to both. That's perfectly fine. If you have a block association that's doing beautification work and wants grants for that, and also wants to do a composting education program or buy some bins, they could actually apply for both. It's the same due date. It's August 26th at 5 p.m. So that's it from me. Thank you all so much for being here. I'll pass it back to you, Eric.
Thank you, Mr. Borough President. Appreciate that. I also want to recognize, sorry, I didn't mention before, it looks like Councilmember Brewer is also with us. I want to see.
I'm here.
Yeah, if you had any words that you'd like to share with the group.
Thank you. Let's see, I appreciate it. I would say a couple of things. First of all, thank you, Borough President, for mentioning congestion pricing. We and the West Side are doing just with the elected officials and community board, the bids, just like a Zoom discussion to get started, because needless to say, my phone is ringing off the hook. What do you do about the parking? All the issues. Everybody on this phone knows the issues, but it's like to the point of we have to figure out what we're doing on the West Side, then coordinate with the East Side, and then coordinate with Manhattan. Just so you know, we're getting started, and I think we almost need weekly discussion. So we'll certainly willing to join us, but the issue is what are we going to do to answer some of these questions? Number two, I'm head of oversight and investigation, and on the issue of workforce. I mean, I know that the mayor feels very strongly we need to come back, and I agree. But on the other hand, nobody's coming back. There are agencies with so few employees. I heard a number that the law department was down 150 people because nobody wants to work full time. So we're having a hearing, I think it's September 9th with Civil Service and Labor to look at the issue. I could be wrong. I'm not saying that I'm right. I want everybody to come back. And I know if you say we come back at the city, then maybe the companies will come back, but they're not coming back full time. So anyway, I just want to let you know about that. Third issue is just batteries. Every once in a while you find something that is particularly egregious. There aren't easy answers to any of these questions, but one of them is NYCHA and non-NYCHA apartments. People are coming home at the end of the day, and I understand this, and plugging in their batteries so that they can go to work on their e-bike the next morning, and it's having detrimental effects. We talked to the fire department. We have talked to, obviously, to the delivery folks whom I have great respect for. And we have some legislation that says you can't do secondhand, you can't be refurbished. That may not be the right answer, but it's a good discussion. There's a lot more expense associated with the new battery. So it's a complicated issue. But obviously, just like you, I know almost everyone at NYCHA. And the residents point out that in the elevator, every single night are e-bikes. And every single night they are plugging them in. So I'm afraid, just like there was a fire already in East Harlem, 2 people died. We don't want this to happen again. So we're trying to figure that out. We're all focused on redistricting. We know that as you indicated, the borough president indicated there are a lot of issues in Manhattan. Those of us on the west side, we prefer the unity map, which has been put together, I think, by several groups, including some of the Latino organizations. So we're going to be arguing for that map, particularly Eric Botcher and I agree on it in terms of the area around the 50s. Before there were like 3 community boards, 3 elected officials that were dividing up Ward 4, and nobody wants that. We are very concerned, as you know, about West Park Presbyterian Church, and I appreciate all the support we've gotten. We believe that the final decision will be sometime in early September from Landmarks Preservation Commission. We've had a couple of press conferences. We're going to have another one pointing out some of the fallacies of what the developer / Presbyterian have suggested. I don't agree with it at all. Feel very strongly about it. And I think it would be a terrible, terrible situation if this church will be torn down, which rips your heart out. I want to thank the borough president and certainly Eric Botcher and everybody at Grow NYC, the senior food program. My staff and interns are stuffing as we speak. The seniors love that program. I thank you for the van, and it is like the joy of people getting.
Uh-oh.
I think they may have accidentally been disconnected. See if, give it one moment. Let's see if she's coming right back. Well, I think we will get back to the council member when they get back, if they're able to join us again, but I don't see any other council members in attendance. I did want to recognize Jessica Elliott here representing CB11 for our attendance as well.
Hi, everyone. Good morning from CB11. Hope you all are doing well.
Thank you, Jessica. I think right now what we can do is just move into the agenda. If I can have a motion to adopt the August 18th agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Great. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Jumping right into our next item. Can I have a motion to adopt the July 28th Borough Board minutes?
So moved.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Muted myself for a second. Thank you so much, everyone. So we are now here in the 8th month. So if we have someone from CB8, I believe Russell, if you could start with your report, I appreciate it.
Sure. So we don't really have meetings in August, but we're very focused on the redistricting issue, as Mark mentioned. So there is an area, and I mentioned this last time, part of the East Side, it includes part of CB6 as well. We've been working with them, but part of the Upper East Side and Roosevelt Island have been drawn into a Queens-based council district, which we oppose for a number of reasons. We passed a resolution on this. And so there are hearings now. The districting commission is holding hearings before they do their next round of maps. And so we are just planning to have a lot of people show up at that hearing and turn out at the hearing. And, this particular issue with, parts of Manhattan being joined into District 26 in Queens, that's obviously sort of an East Side issue. But what I would say is just anybody who has any concerns about redistricting anywhere, in addition to the fact that we're going to be turning a lot of people out, I would encourage everybody to go to these hearings and get as many people out to the hearings as possible. As I understand it, the current maps basically sort of favor Staten Island, and I think overrepresent Staten Island compared to all of the other more populous boroughs. And part of the reason for that is that a lot of people showed up from Staten Island at the hearings and they had a big turnout. And so having a big turnout really, really makes a big difference. So it'd be good to have a big turnout from Manhattan so that our voice is heard. And I did want to thank Mark and your office for your support. So thank you. But anyway, the Manhattan hearing is going to be Monday. So we'll be there, and hopefully you guys will be there as well. The other boards.
Thank you, Russell. Appreciate it. CB9.
I apologize. You're probably
It's a little difficult to hear you right now, Barry. If you'd like, we can maybe come back to you. Okay. We can move to CB10, Cicely, so you can get back to your vacation as soon as possible.
Good morning again. Thank you. And I just want to thank Mark and Russell I think we're all on the same page about this redistricting. I'm excited that the word is really out about this hearing that's on Monday at the Schomburg right in Harlem. So I think it'll be a packed house. We're telling everyone to get there like 4:30, 5 o'clock when the doors open. So, and I appreciate Mark, your talking about the plurality of Harlem. It is at stake here, and we're really just concerned about all of that. So not to beat a dead horse, but I'm sure everyone will be there at redistricting. I won't because I'll be working, but we'll soldier on. I wanted to give a quick update about the Exonerated 5 project. I know folks have been asking about it. Keisha's on. I know she can speak to it. First, I want to continue to thank the Borough President's office for their support, for showing up to all the meetings, because we still have bi-weekly meetings with the task force about this. We are in a push to have the exhibit ready and to have the opening in November. So we're trying to get that all set up, that the gate will be ready. So we're working with CPC and a lot of other community members just to make sure that this happens. But we are pushing through. We believe it will be something that we all can celebrate in November, and we will definitely let you all know and get an invitation out to the chairs so that just to thank you for your support throughout all of this. And then we're continuing to do a partnership with the 125th Street bid and the hub. The Borough President is involved with that. And we're continuing to do, I think, weekly meetings on Tuesday just to address a lot of the things that are going on 125th Street, our huge business district that is, that these issues that we see there are now, of course, infiltrating in other areas of Harlem. So we're continuing to work with all the state agents, with all the city agencies, NYPD. So there's just been a huge collaboration just to make sure that we are able to, one, serve our constituents and keep, most importantly, keep everyone safe. So we're doing that. On a fun note, CB10 was able to work with National Night Out. So we had a little bit of a table going on. We passed out some things. Our district manager was out there, and we participated in a HBCU, Historically Black College fair. And we had like a little table out there. So that's all from CB10. Thank you.
Thank you, Cicely. Appreciate it. Pass it over to Jessica.
Hi, good morning, everyone again. My name is Jessica Elliott. I'm the Vice Chair of Community Board 11, standing in for Xavier this morning. So this is my first time here. Nice to see you all. From the CB11 side, we also had a really great national night out in our 2 precinct areas. A lot of representation from our board, district manager, our chairs and vice chairs. And it was just great to spend that day with the community and get out there. We also attended the Deputy Speaker Diana Ayala's opioid endemic town hall last week, which is a major concern for our neighborhood. A lot of concerns about the effect it has on children in our neighborhood and the collection of needles and things throughout our community. Still focusing on the East River Esplanade work and working closely with EDC and parks on that, and also working on budget consultations this month and getting into the September season. But one thing we are also working on is with this Department of Sanitation, our points of agreements and the sort of oversaturation of industrial uses like the sanitation garages in our community. So we're paying a close attention to that. So yeah, everything's great in our neighborhood, and it's nice to be here. Thanks so much.
Thank you for your report, Jessica. Appreciate it. Do we have somebody from Community Board 12? If not, then I think we will swing back around and go to Tammy, CB1.
Hi, thank you, everybody. So CB1 had a very busy July. I want to say that we are surrounded by water in Lower Manhattan, so we have been doing a lot of coastal resiliency. It is a very hot topic, which we appreciate the Borough President's support with, because there's lots of dialogue. One of the things that I still think I'd like to say, we got a bit of a win because we have more lawn space coming to Wagner Park, so I appreciate all of our electeds, specifically Borough President Levine, Councilmember Kavanaugh, and our City Council member Marte for fighting so hard to help the community even get parity so we don't lose as much as we were going to lose. So it's really a win in that. But there are some really confusing things that I think as a borough and as a city we need to look at, and that is the differing levels of what each project is being built to understand holistically how they connect. And why one location is going to be built to level 15 and other locations are left fallow. And beyond the funding is really the theory of resiliency and how overall we're protecting the island. And that's something that not only goes for Lower Manhattan, but in CB1, we have 3 other islands. What are we doing for Governor's Island? How will this affect the new projects that are coming on for the Climate Center? What levels are we doing there? How are we looking at protecting our federal and national assets of Ellis Island and the Statue of Liberty Island, which are also in Community Board 1? And since we don't have an overall arching understanding of that, we look and say, that is something that really needs to be clarified and looked at to make sure that we are not building to one level that is so high and others that are so low that we're negatively affecting and not really being as seamlessly connected as being proposed. We passed a resolution in July asking DOT to come back to us because they were paid $500,000 for a Lower Manhattan pedestrian street priority study. We have yet to see any of the accounting of that money or results of the study. We find that should have been done and answered to us quickly. And then there's some confusion in terms of licensing, where we're looking at people who are coming in with renewals and other things that are added that are sort of hidden within the new open restaurant and takeaway alcohol rules that are coming as renewals, but are actually new usage with changes that have not actually been going through, and trying to take a look on how, as a community board, we are able to engage with the community and let the community know of changes that are coming. It's a very complex topic that sort of seems to be not well defined in terms of what rules are where. So that's a big concern that's coming from us and how to engage in the public on that. Tonight we have our executive committee. We will be talking about congestion pricing because people were stunned in the end of July to find out that the meetings were the last week of August, and there's really no process with that. We'll also be talking about 5 World Trade Center because, again, we have public hearings in the beginning of September on that, and that's really important. And then I will say I'm interested to see the Building Congress so nicely come out and say that there are 2 buildings in Lower Manhattan that they think the city should turn into more development zones because there's been no conversation with the community on anything like that, with what the community needs and looking at where we are. So with that, I end my report. I thank the Borough President's Office for showing up in Lower Manhattan and helping us with our resiliency projects. Have a great day. Enjoy your summers.
Appreciate it, Tammy, and thank you for all you're doing there. Want to move over to Janine, CB2.
Hi, good morning. CB2 continues to have a busy schedule in July and August for liquor license SLA applications and through our quality of life committee that does the street fairs and street applications. But I do want to just touch on, we do have the most liquor licenses in the city and a lot of events in our public plazas. I want to just ask, I guess, in response to Borough President Levine's comments is, can we push for getting more vaccinations at the schools? We had some at public schools last year with incentives, and they raised a lot of money for the schools, and they are very efficient for the parents, and it just makes it a lot easier. So I would love to get some help at the borough level and the citywide level to get some more vaccination options at our schools. And I don't think do we have any city council members on here? Our schools are struggling, their budgets have been cut, and they're going to be opening in 3 weeks. So I just want to elevate this issue because imagine running a business with a $5 million or $8 million budget and not knowing what your budget is for your grand opening essentially in 3 weeks. This gets really, really complicated. Teachers work on a year-to-year base, school year basis. It's not flexible staffing like you would see in a hospital or somewhere else. So these are year-long contracts. So I really encourage everyone to use your bully pulpit or your fat power to vote at the city council level to push for more funding for our schools. And I just want to also just talk about last month CB 1 and 2 and 4 joined, 1, 2, and 4 joined Borough President Levine about pushing for a bike lane on the West Side Highway. We hope that we can continue to push that. In CB2, we now have a 2-way bike lane on 5th Avenue. I'm not sure if this is because the one on 6th Avenue isn't happening anytime soon. But I do love that it's 2 ways because that's right now there was no sort of central Manhattan way to go north-south. But I do want to remind everyone there was in Streets blogged I think today or yesterday about some east-west connections. Those were all mentioned uptown. We needed downtown one too. The big east-west streets, Chambers and Houston and definitely Canal, they're all death rides. There's really no protected bike lane and you're fighting it out with box trucks. And while I can still bike on a 2-wheel bike, at some point I might graduate to one of those 3-wheel bikes. And right now there's nowhere safe to do that. So that's it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Janine.
Can I just say one thing, Eric?
Yeah, of course.
I really appreciate Janine bringing up the need to increase vaccination among kids. We have completely stalled out on vaccination for really all age groups pretty much since the Omicron wave. And the rates for young people are really, really low. For 11 and under, I'm trying to look at the exact number here. It's like, I think maybe fully vaccinated with the booster for 11 and under is like 30%. And 5 and under, the take-up rate for even the first shot is still, I think it's 5% citywide. I'm not exactly sure the number, but schools should be the place where vaccination is easy, where I completely agree with what you said. There should be a financial incentive. We had one. It was $100. It was very effective. It was canceled, I think, in February. So I think that's an excellent idea to bring back the incentive to have vaccination available on site for kids and families, and an education campaign led by school nurses. So we will definitely be pushing for all of that. Thank you, Janine.
Thank you. We'll go to Paul.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Paul Raymond for CB3. August for us is also no meeting month, so I tend to be in chill mode a little bit as well. But we are working on cleaning up our district needs and our getting ready for the budget consultations. And in getting ready for budget consultations, I just wanted to ask for President's office. We understand there's not going to be note takers at the budget consults. Is that true? And will there be a possibility that that will happen or not? I don't know if that's some. I think that was something that my district managers brought up to me yesterday. So I'm going to ask it right now. I don't know if there's an answer or not. If there's going to be note takers or not for the budget consultations. But
Yeah, I'll jump in really quick. And,
Sure.
feel free to interrupt me. Yeah, this is something that actually was put on our radar yesterday. So you'll have to forgive me, Paul. I think we have to circle up a little bit. Totally, there's a concern there. So I think we'll be in touch with you, and if anyone else wants to like talk through what that might look like, I think offline probably best. We're just
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it was just brought to my attention yesterday. Thanks, Chris. So yeah, and that's what we're really getting ready for. And then just a point of wanted some clarification on the our committee meetings and open meeting law. Is this subject still also to the same when we go, I guess when the executive orders eventually expire and don't get re-signed and stuff like that, and we have to go to hybrid, is the committee meetings going to be subject to those same rules, or is it just for our full board meetings? I know we had asked that question earlier, Eric, I think last month. I don't know if you have an answer at this point. Or if anybody else. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Hi, this is Tommy. Yeah, when the executive orders end, any meetings that are like the rules that applied before the pandemic with regard to when open meeting law applies will go back into effect. So
that's all meetings, everything.
Yeah.
Copy. All right. We just wanted that clarity. Thank you so much. Yeah, so that's what we're working on, our budget consults, getting district needs cleaned up, and yeah, that's it. And we have our SLA meeting this month. That is the only meeting that will happen. That doesn't happen until next week. All right. Thank you. That's it for CP3.
Thank you very much, Paul. See Jessica from CP4.
Yes, hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Jessica Chait, the first vice chair for Community Board 4, stepping in for Jeffrey. We also don't have an August meeting, and I'm not sure if he shared this at the last update, but we did have a hybrid board meeting last month that was really, really successful. So we're excited about really getting our sea legs under us to see how we can best do that going forward. The three main things that we just wanted to highlight briefly. One is there's a ULURP right now for the relocation of the EMS station, which is currently located at 23rd Street. This has been there since it was a temporary EMS station following the closure of St. Vincent's Hospital over a decade ago, and is really not suitable for operation there. And we've been very hard at work to secure the relocation with at Block 6 on West 29th Street. We're very excited for that progress to move forward. However, the Amtrak has currently prioritized that site for debris removal for the tunnel project. So while we are in favor of moving forward with the ULURP, we really want to call on, as many people as can be helpful, to pressure Amtrak to find another location so that we can move forward with this development. It would just seem a real shame to let another decade go by, or worse than a shame to let another decade go by while 23rd Street and frankly all of the West Side deal with an EMS station that is not appropriate for the service needs of the West Side. So that will be our big push in the weeks ahead. We're also increasingly concerned about DHS communication around relocation and reopening of shelters in the neighborhood. I'm sure this group has heard a lot about the oversaturation, particularly in Hell's Kitchen, over the last 2.5 years. And yet again, DHS has proposed opening more shelters without consultation of the community board or really any other providers in the community. And they have made themselves available, but with the same message of, we'll do better next time. And I think our community is really struggling under how to appropriately care for and observe these populations when there is such concentration and such density, and to ensure that they get the quality of care and services, not just in the buildings that they're residing, but outside that they need. And the other piece is just, we wanted to thank the borough president and his office for all of the work on the monkeypox vaccination and campaign around that. Our community is affected by this. I mean, as our city, probably our country, but we really see the need for this and the advocacy around it, and being vocal about the access for a vaccine is really important. And so I wanted to thank, again, the borough president for his work on that. And I'll leave it there.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Appreciate it. Pass it over to Renee.
Thank you. I am the chair of the next committee. I'm sitting in for Vicky Barbero, our chair. Like many of the boards, CB5 has been on hiatus for the last month, so I don't have a lot to report there. But like Paul mentioned, we're also starting the budget process, and we'd like to express our concern regarding OMB and its role in the borough consultations, which are critical to our budget request process. Traditionally, they have always coordinated the meetings, but this year we found that they're not reaching out to the agencies individually for specific district questions and budget meetings, and they're not doing the note-taking, as Paul mentioned, which is something they've always handled and which is important for us, for our reference. And we really don't think it's realistic for the community boards to take on the process. So we're afraid of losing that tool. So we would appreciate the follow-up that was mentioned earlier, and hope that there's a way to work with us on the issue. And that's all I have.
Thank you so much, Renee. Kyle, are you available there?
Yep. All right. Good morning, everyone. Very similarly, we go on a summer hiatus over the summer, but last week we actually called an emergency meeting together. Happy to say we were able to make quorum despite the summer schedules. But the purpose of that meeting was to pass a resolution basically voicing our opposition to the redistricting that occurred. As Russell mentioned earlier, CB8, CB6 share a corridor that has been severely impacted by the first draft of the map, in particular our neighborhood to the north, Sutton Place, which would be completely pulled into Queens. I won't go into the details because it's already been mentioned before about how this adversely affects our communities in so many different ways. But I will be present on the 22nd at the Schaumburg to provide testimony on behalf of Community Board 6, and look forward to standing with everyone else in solidarity.
Great. Thank you so much, Kyle. I don't believe we have anybody from CB7, but I did want to turn it back over to Barry, if you're available, Barry.
Yes, and please let me know if you can hear me okay. Right, good?
It sounds better now.
Great. Sorry about that in transit this morning. But Community Board 9, like other boards, does go on summer hiatus. But frequently our committees use that summer hiatus to engage in kind of more long-term planning or other kind of things, including workshops. So I want to thank the Borough President's Office and the Borough President himself for providing panels for our land use and zoning workshop in July, which was a huge success and a very big hit, and something we're going to be looking to do, I think, continually to educate not just our board members, but the broader public about the land use review process in the city and how the public can really get involved. And so, similar to other boards, we've begun reviewing our district needs statement in advance of the new budget cycle. There are a number of changes that we will be again making, I think, for each of the past 2 years now, given the pandemic and then the return to in-person learning. we've had more changes to our district needs statements in each of those years than in maybe 5 prior years combined. So that will be happening again with a special focus on school funding and youth development programs. We were the site of a number of incidents of violence over the summer, including a very tragic stabbing at the 137th Street subway station on the 1 line of a young boy, a 13-year-old, who was attacked and murdered last month. And so we have been speaking for a number of years now about the need for reopening youth services programs like our Children's Foundation and investing in peer violence initiatives like those in Central Harlem and East Harlem for Community Board 9, specifically for the area from 134th to 141st Street west of Amsterdam. And so that will continue to be an ask for us. I also want to thank my colleagues on CB7 and CB10 for helping to put together the letter regarding the school funding cuts that went out. It's very much appreciated. And I know our Youth Education Libraries Committee co-chair here, Josh Brown, is very grateful for that as well. And then I just want to, actually say thank you to the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, who CB9 struggled with during the initial rollout of the COVID vaccines, but who have done, all in all, a very good job on the rollout of the monkeypox vaccines. Obviously, there's limited supply and limited availability, but they have really led the nation in pushing for these vaccinations to occur, even before the CDC had a national vaccine strategy on this. And the amount of feedback that I've gotten about the Harlem Health Station on 135th Street and how efficient it was, how well staffed it was, how smoothly it operated is really a testament to health and hospitals and Department of Health for how they've been responding to this. Obviously, the national response, particularly the CDC, could have been faster, which I think we all were worried about this spring, but so it goes. And we did hold a hybrid meeting in June for our general board meeting. So we actually have that down fairly smoothly now. And we're looking forward to being able to roll with the punches as it comes. And then finally, as an update for us, we finally finished moving into our new offices, which has been effectively a year-long saga. But we got our phones turned on, we have our internet, and we are being outfitted for all of our remote meeting needs with cameras and microphones and industrial strength Wi-Fi. And so I'm very grateful to the Borough President's office, particularly Tricia and Mina, for all of their help on this, and April Adams, who's no longer at the office, but they really helped walk us through this. I do want to add 2 more things. One, there was a very terrible fire at 695 St. Nicholas Avenue in our district that is kind of unusual and shows a lot of hallmarks, at a minimum, of faulty wiring and unlicensed electrical work. I want to thank the Borough President's office and Councilmember Abreu, and in particular Assemblymember Taylor's office, for really helping to respond to that fire. Alante Harlem, a local tenants organizing and legal services group, is also assisting with that, but that was a very difficult road. And then finally, I would be remiss if I didn't say that we were very sorry to congratulate our community associate, Ms. Jose Zita, for concluding, I believe it was 25 years of service and retiring in July. And I know the Borough President and others gave proclamations for her service, and we look forward to having her back to really celebrate in proper fashion now that our office is open. But with that, I will conclude my report.
Thank you very much, Barry. Happy to hear about moving into the new space finally, completely. So congrats on that. I don't think we have anyone else that hasn't already reported out. So with that, we can keep this pretty brief, and I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Oh, this is very efficient.
Great.
Yeah.
It's a smooth one. Thank you so much, everyone. Appreciate your patience, and thanks again all for being here.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay,
All right.
goodbye.
For the rest of your day. Bye, everyone.